What's up guys, so Said here. So today we'll be reviewing, or we'll be taking a look at a special car. Actually it's not that special, it's special to me because it's my own car. So it's a 2014 Subaru Forester XT. This is the SJ generation of the Subaru Forester, and this is actually the last of the Forester XTs, okay, because Subaru isn't making Forester XTs anymore because of costs and some other reasons. So just a quick introduction to this car. I've owned this car for about 6 months. I bought this car when the mileage was about 88,000 kilometers. Now the mileage is about close to 108,000 kilometers. So in the span of about 6 months, I've put about 108 minus 88. That's about 20,000 kilometers in the span of 6 months. So that averages out to about more than 3,000 kilometers a month, which is I think more than double the average Singaporean driver. So 6 months after owning this car, what are my thoughts and what do I think about this car? So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Okay, now you might be wondering why someone like me, like a 20-something-year-old guy, is driving a Forester, which is seen as a family SUV. So the reason why is because prior to this car, I owned a 5 Series, which was it had a lot of problems basically. Yeah, so I got rid of the car after like 7 months of ownership, and I wanted something that was powerful and something that was reliable. So reliability was very important to me. I'm not saying BMWs are unreliable, but I'll leave that debate for another day. And I've never owned an SUV before, so with all the SUV craze going around nowadays, I thought just to try owning an SUV. So 6 months ownership, what do I think about this car? I think this car is, for the amount that you are paying, what you are getting is you are getting a lot of value for your money. That's how I would describe this car. So for example, this car brand new, I think it was about $120,000, something like that. And for that amount, you are getting an SUV with all-wheel drive, Harman Kardon sound system, a 2-liter turbocharged 237 horsepower engine. You're getting your sunroof here. You are just basically you're getting a lot of value for your money. So that was one of the reasons why I decided to get this car. Obviously when I bought it used, it's much cheaper. It was only about $60,000+, and has about 5 years of COE left. So I think for what I'm getting, it's a very good value for money. And like to get a powerful engine and sunroof and branded sound system, these are typically things that you have to pay for in other cars, but with this car it comes as standard. So after I got this car, I realized that this car is everywhere. Like in Singapore, you see the Forester, like every few minutes on the road I'll see a Forester. Okay, so what do I like about this car? First, I like the power. It has like I mentioned, 2-liter turbocharged engine producing 237 horsepower. So you're not short on power there. It has all-wheel drive. It's practical, and it's pretty reliable. It's a Subaru. So these are the things that I like about the car. What I don't like about the car, I think first, the material. Okay, if you have ever driven the SH generation Forester, you know that the material quality inside isn't the best. With this generation, the SJ, it's Subaru improved on it by a lot. Okay, the material quality and all is very good. However, it still feels a bit cheap as compared to the competition. So what I mean by that, okay, if you look at this door panel here, okay, you can see that this part is made of leather, which is very nice. It's similar to, or it looks similar to the one you get in high-end Japanese cars like the Alphard or Vellfire. But then you come up to this part and you get this very cheap hollow plastic. Okay, so there's like a mismatch of materials here. Another one would be the steering wheel. The steering wheel is made of this like leather material, but it's not the same kind of leather you get in you know, other Japanese cars. It's a very, it feels like a cheaper grade of leather. And I've seen on some Forester forums where owners complain that the leather starts peeling off after just like 2 or 3 years of owning the car, and you know, some other parts start to like degrade after just a few years of ownership. So I think the material, while it's a big improvement from the previous generation Forester, I think you know, there's still room for improvement. So like I mentioned, the things I like about this car, the driving dynamics on this car is fantastic. For tall family SUV, the driving dynamics on this car is as good as it can get. Driving dynamics wise, this car is excellent. And you know, I expect it to be, because this car shares the same platform as the Subaru Impreza. Power wise, 237 horsepower, 0 to 100 in about 7.5 seconds, which is fast. I mean, by today's standards, it's not super fast or anything, but it's still relatively quick. So speaking about performance on this car, there are 3 driving modes you can choose from. First is your intelligent mode, second is sports, and third is your sports sharp. Intelligent mode is basically your auto mode, which you know means the car will drive as efficiently as possible, and you get a very good balance of you know, performance and efficiency, and it's just for day-to-day driving basically. And if you want to, you know, somebody challenges you to a race or something, you can put it into sports or sports sharp. Sports and sports sharp, honestly, I don't feel that much of a difference between these two. Sports sharp is actually very sporty. The engine brake on this car naturally is already very strong, but when you put it in sports sharp, the engine brake is next level. You know, it's like unleashing a kraken. It's just another animal. So with such a sporty characteristic, what's the suspension like? What's the comfort like on this car? The suspension is definitely stiff, but it's still compliant. The balance between comfort and sportiness is almost perfect. But overall, I would say the comfort is, for a family SUV, it's perfectly acceptable. Another thing you notice when you drive this car is the visibility. It's excellent. I think visibility on this car is probably the best that I've ever experienced in a car, or close to being the best. You can see how big the windows are, and I think one of the reasons for that is because this car has a boxer engine. Boxer engines are typically more flat in the design, so they were able to put the engine in a lower position in this car. So the center of gravity for this car is actually very low because of the engine design, and because of that you have more space on top of the engine to build like all this. Fuel consumption on this car, I'm not going to talk about the fuel consumption on paper. I'm going to go straight to real life fuel consumption. I'm averaging about 9 to 11 kilometers per litre. That depends on how hard I whack the car. By today's standards, it's not fantastic, but I think given the weight of this car and given the power and how sporty it drives, I think 10 kilometers per litre is acceptable. Okay, so to sum it up, what do I think of this car? Honestly, I think this is a jack of all trades kind of car. It's a lot of things to a lot of people. For example, to the family man, this is a very good family SUV. To the youngster who wants to go fast, this car can do just that. To the guy who wants to go off-road every weekend, this car is also capable of going off-road. So if you're in the market for like a powerful, practical, reliable SUV, then definitely I think this is a serious contender. So that's about it for my take on this car. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.